I will end catch and release. I will restore remain in Mexico. Remember, I got it done with the Mexican government. Remain in Mexico. They couldn't come into this country and they had to remain in Mexico. You think that was easy to get from Mexico? It wasn't, but I got it. I got everything. I will bring back Title 42 medical rejections. People come in, they're very sick, very sick. They're coming into our country. They're very, very, very sick with highly contagious disease. And they're let into our country to infect our country. And they're coming in at numbers that nobody's ever seen before. I will send Congress a bill to ban all sanctuary cities in our country, including Denver. And we will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of the United States. We will close the border. We will stop the invasion of illegals into our country. We will defend our territory. We will not be conquered. We will not be conquered. We will reclaim our sovereignty, and Colorado will vote for Trump as a protest and signal to the world that we are not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take it anymore. I will liberate Colorado. I will give you back your freedom and your life. And together, we will make America powerful again.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to discuss Donald Trump's new plan called Operation Aurora. We're going to discuss his new plan, Operation Aurora, that he unveiled yesterday at a rally in Aurora, Colorado. Before we unpack it, though, I do want to take a moment to play a little bit of what he had to say at that rally yesterday. So let's jump into this video clip right here first, and then we're going to get into the article to explain what Operation Aurora actually is.
In honor of Jocelyn, Nungari, Lakin, Riley, beautiful Lakin, Rachel, Morin, and all of the others that are dead and or mortally wounded at the hands of migrants who should never have been allowed into our country, I'm announcing today that upon taking office, we will have an Operation Aurora at the federal level. To expedite the removals of these savage gangs, and I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. 1798. This was put there. 1798. That's a long time ago, right? To target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. Who would have ever thought that a president or a future president would ever have to stand here and say such things? Who would think that that's even possible to have to do? So many things are changed in the last 4 years, but that's the state of our country now after Kamala and Joe Biden have just absolutely destroyed our country.
Now let's jump into the article, because I want to take a moment to unpack what this 1798 law actually is. In this Washington Post article, does a pretty good job of summarizing it up. So let's jump into this article. It's titled, Trump Plans to Use 1798 Law to Dismantle Illegal Immigrant Gang Tren de Aragua and Kick Criminals Out of the U.S. And I will make it a point to leave the link of this article in the description box below so you can read it in its entirety for yourself. The article reads as such: former President Donald Trump traveled to the gang-ravaged Denver suburb Friday to announce plans to invoke a 226-year-old law to dismantle and deport illegal immigrant criminals across the U.S. The Republican nominee, 78, told supporters in Aurora, Colorado, he could go after the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, whose members have infiltrated the city of just under 400,000. At least 10 soldiers in the violent prison gang have been arrested in Aurora, where criminals have wreaked havoc and even taken over apartment complexes. The article continues to read, Trump said he would implement a 10-year prison sentence to migrants who re-enter the U.S. after being deported and impose the death penalty on illegal migrants who kill American citizens. So he's planning on dropping the hammer on illegal immigration if he is able to get into office, and that is a good thing.
We will send elite squads of ICE, Border Patrol, and federal law enforcement officers to hunt down, arrest, and deport every last illegal alien gang member until there is not a single one left in this country. And if they come back into our country, they will be told it is an automatic 10-year sentence in jail with no possibility of parole. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
A 10-year prison sentence if you re-enter after you've already been deported, and then placing the death penalty on those who are here illegally that kill American citizens. That sounds a lot like right to me. That's why we need to get him in office and watch this thing play out as he implements this. But it sounds like right to me. Now, the article continues to read, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. This is the meat of today's story. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 lets the president authorize citizens of enemy nations to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed if they are deemed a threat to the U.S. during wartime. And that's the key phrase there, if they are a threat during wartime. And that's what may pose a little bit of an issue for this bill as well, or I should say for this law as well. The article continues to read, the act was last used following the December 7, 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, when Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered non-citizens from Japan, Germany, and Italy to preserve the peace towards the United States and to refrain from crime against the public safety and from violating the laws of the United States and of the states and territories thereof, and to refrain from actual hostility or giving information, aid, or comfort to enemies in the United States, or interfering by word or deed with the defense of the United States or the political process and public opinions thereof, on pain of arrest, incarceration, and deportation. Now, that was a mouthful, so I do suggest that you reread that for yourself so that you can get a little bit more clarity on what's actually being said there. That was a mouthful. That was a lot of, legal jargon. But in essence, we're going to lock you up and deport you based on this law in a nutshell, right? Now, the invocation of the act would, in theory, allow Trump to order summary deportations of illegal immigrants without first getting permission from an immigration judge. So we're talking about expedited, immediate deportations if he's able to put this law into practice. Now, the article goes on to continue to read, any attempt by Trump to invoke the 18th century law will likely face legal challenges from immigration advocates and defense attorneys, who are obviously going to be DNC, who might argue it represents a violation of habeas corpus and due process, as well as the fact that the law was meant to take effect only in times of war. And now that brings up a debate of whether or not you can classify what's happening with Tren de Aragua as kind of an act of war, right? When you have an organized gang from outside of this country has come in and infiltrated this country, infiltrated cities, taking over property in this country, is that considered an act of war when you take in everything that I just said, and on top of that, they have blood on their hands? They literally have dead American bodies on their hands. That may or may not be considered an act of war. To a lot of people, and to me personally, that's an act of war. But we'll see how things play out moving forward. But here's something that's even more interesting. Immigration enforcement officials celebrated Trump's proposal with one Border Patrol agent telling the Post, F yeah. And we all know that the Border Patrol agents, by and large, overall, they endorse Donald Trump. You can go to their Twitter page right now, the Border Patrol Union, and they're trashing Kamala Harris on a daily basis. They don't support Harris at all whatsoever, or the Democrats at all whatsoever. The Border Patrol is 100% on board with Trump. And by the looks of it, they are 100% on board with this 226-year-old law as well. Now, whether or not he will be able to successfully put this in practice is yet to be seen. It's obviously going to be faced with a lot of legal challenges, but I do think that there is an argument to be made concerning this Tren de Aragua group, or gang, I should say, actually being a foreign entity, a foreign organized entity that has infiltrated the country, infiltrated our cities, taken over properties, and have taken the lives of American citizens. Can you make an argument that that is an act of war? You just might be able to. You just might be able to. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and also share this video on your social media platforms to your family and friends. And don't forget to follow me on Telegram and Rumble. That is extremely important that you do that. Please follow me on Telegram and Rumble at TD Media Group. Both the links to my Telegram and Rumble will be in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time, and until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.